This is Captain Acting Major William Martin, born in 1907 and a hero of the Navy in World War II. He is entirely fictitious. Welcome to History Watch, where we tell stories worth watching. On the 30th of April, 1943, the body of Major Martin was discovered by a Spanish fisherman washed up on the shore. The body had in its possession a briefcase filled with important military documents and plans. It was taken to the city of Huelva by Spanish soldiers, where it was given to a naval judge. British Vice-Consul Hazelden wired his superiors from Spain to inform them that the major had been discovered dead. On the 1st of May, Martin's autopsy was completed in the presence of Hazelden, and he was certified dead by drowning. He was buried in Huelva with full military honours on the 2nd of May, 1943. The documents were then moved to a base in San Fernando, where the contents were photographed by German sympathisers. Once the briefcase arrived in the Spanish capital, Madrid, top German spy Karl Erich Kuhlenthal became determined to obtain it, and so persuaded the Spanish to surrender the important documents. Upon examination, the Germans discovered the Allied plan to invade the Balkans, which were a site of great resources for the Nazis, including copper, bauxite, chrome and oil. They relayed this information back to Big Boss Man Hitler and replaced the documents with near perfect precision. By the 11th of May, the documents were returned to Hazelden in Huelva, who sent an encrypted message informing superiors they had not been opened. The German interception had been successful, and the Allied plan to invade unchallenged would fail. Indeed, by the 9th of July, Hitler had quietly redirected masses of troops to the Balkans, ready for their Allied invasion. Had the British attacked, they would most certainly have been overwhelmed. But no attack came. Not in the Balkans, anyway. Over in Sicily, the Allied forces marched an all-out attack, safe in the knowledge that silly old Hitler had moved the majority of his defence to an entire country away. This attack led to the imprisonment of Mussolini and the installation of a new Italian government who would work with the Allies against the Nazis. It was the beginning of a chain of events that would bring down the Nazis and win the war. This was Operation Mincemeat, and the Germans had fallen for it spectacularly. So let's rewind and look at this story from the British side, shall we? Glyndwr Michael was a Welshman born in Monmouthshire.
Hello, my name's Glyndwr Michael. I was born in Monmouthshire.
He had held various professions, including gardener and labourer. His father was a coal miner who committed suicide in Glyndwr's youth, and his mother had died when he was 31.
I've lived a miserable life, I tell you.
Becoming homeless and desperate, he walked to London.
I did, and it's a bloody long way, I can tell you.
Where he began living on the streets. He was discovered, barely alive, in a warehouse near King's Cross Station. Doctors later discovered he had eaten rat poison, possibly in a suicide attempt, but possibly just due to extreme hunger. Regardless of the reasons, Glyndwr died 2 days later, aged only 34.
Oh, is that it? Am I dead now? Is that the end of my story? Oh, I suppose I'll go then. Bye.
Earlier, in 1942, an aircraft flying to Britain from Gibraltar had crashed. A French agent was killed, carrying top-secret documents. When these documents were returned, British planners discovered that they had been copied by the Germans, though thankfully their contents were filled with misinformation. This gave the British a cunning plan, and mincemeat was devised. Operation Mincemeat. The body of a dead navalman would be discovered off the coast of Spain. It would need to be discovered by Spaniards, and the documents it carried passed by means of German efforts, thereby disguising the plan. Had a British-German sympathiser passed on the information, it would certainly have been dismissed as false. Obtaining the body of Glyndwr Michaels, intelligence officers Charles Chumney and Ewan Montague began to create Captain William Martin. He was dressed in standard-sized battle dress, given the rank of Major, which made him high-ranking enough to be carrying sensitive documents but not so high that he would be renowned, and his feet defrosted so as to squeeze them into military boots. To reinforce him being real, he was given a multitude of items. A photograph of an MI5 clerk called Jean Leslie was included with a label identifying her as Pam, the Major's equally fictitious fiancée. 2 love letters from Pam were also forged and placed in his pocket. Also included was a letter from Martin's father, deliberately written in pompous English, and a bill from Lloyd's Bank for £79, 19 shillings and twopence. Other items placed upon his person included a St. Christopher medallion, cigarettes, and ticket stubs from London theatres which placed him in London during the last week of April. After attempting to photograph the corpse for an ID card multiple times, Chumney realised that the photographs were obviously of a dead man, and instead photographed Captain Ronnie Reed of MI5, who it was agreed resembled the corpse closely enough. Finally, the secret documents were placed upon his person, providing evidence of the Allies' intention to invade the Balkans in early July. He was ejected off the coast of Huelva in the early hours of the 30th of April, 1943. The plan, as mentioned earlier, worked like a dream. The Allies marched into Sicily that July, whilst an army of, I imagine, very confused Germans stood around scratching their balls in the Balkans. Captain William Martin wasn't real, but his actions helped turn the tide of the war and bring down the Nazi regime. In 1998, after the body was finally re-identified as that of Glyndor Michael, a new inscription was added to the gravestone in Huelva, and a plaque commemorating Glyndor was added to the war memorial in the town of his birth. It is headed, "The Man Who Never Was." And that was a story worth watching.